I'm Pat Doris. Welcome to The Story. I have to tell you, I was one of the many people excited about the chance to see the Northern Lights tonight. I mean, we have friends who had to go all the way to Alaska to see them. So the fact that we could go just a little bit to the south, wonderful. Well, turns out not so much. The reality of this event is our big story tonight. Well, there's no doubt you saw the headlines here on TV or running rampant on social media. The Northern Lights would be visible in 17 U.S. states starting tonight. And thanks to Oregon's urban growth boundaries, it's not a stretch to think that some of us were planning to drive 20 or 30 minutes to a rural area and cut down on light pollution in order to see the aurora borealis firsthand. But before you head out tonight, you're going to want to hear from our guy, Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino, and what he has to say. And Matt, I understand it's not going to be so great, huh?
You know, this popped onto my radar screen, pun intended. I think on Sunday I started getting some emails. Hey, tell me where I should go for the Northern Lights on Thursday. And I was like, what? That was 5 days out. You never get an aurora borealis forecast 5 days out, let alone 27 days out, which is how this whole thing started. Somebody looked at some data from the University of Alaska at Fairbanks, which is a legitimate source. They do a lot of Northern Lights research, as you might imagine, up there, and said, oh, look, we're going to, in 27 days, we're going to get sunspots that are going to create the Northern Lights in 17 states, as far south as Maryland, which is farther south than Oregon, right? So I think what they did is that the sun, first of all, some solar physics for you. The sun makes a complete rotation. It rotates like the Earth does. Makes a complete rotation every 27 days. So if you look at sunspot activity disappearing and thinking, oh, that's going to re-emerge on the other side of the sun in 27 days, and you think that's going to be enough to spark the Northern Lights, not enough data to make that. That's like saying, hey, we had a rain shower in Portland today, so in 5 days there's going to be a rain shower in Chicago. I mean, it didn't work that way. Now, Northern Lights forecasting, aurora borealis, same thing, is very, very difficult. And part of the reason is we don't have a lot of satellites measuring the sun, looking at the sun to give us data. And so, in other words, Pat, garbage in, garbage out. I mean, it's really tough to make aurora forecasts. Yeah, go ahead.
And just so people know, you're standing in front of the sun because these things are caused by huge explosions that come off of the sun?
Yes, I'm getting to that. They do.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. I'll get to an explanation of that, but I wanted to give you the backdrop to that forecast that got everybody so excited. So again, the best we can do with Northern Lights, aurora borealis forecasts is say in 24 or 48 hours ahead of time, say, hey, we saw something like this on the Earth-facing part of the sun. And keep in mind, this is just part of the sun, and the Earth would be like that big compared to the sun. So the sun is massive, and you have to have, first of all, a solar flare or some kind of solar storm, and it's got to be facing the Earth, and it also has to hit Earth in the right way, and it also has to hit our part of Earth at night. I mean, there have been many cases where Europe gets an amazing display, but it's daylight here and we never see it. So there's a lot of input that goes into forecasting the Northern Lights or having them be visible this far south, and this is just one of them. We have a couple of indexes that help us guide that, but first, to answer your question, here's what happens. You get a solar flare or a solar storm, and it emits a bunch of plasma and electrons, and it comes in and it wraps around Earth's magnetic field, and it excites Earth's magnetic field, and they feed into the poles, both the north and the south, which is why they're far more common the farther poleward you go, to the north or the south. It has to be a really strong storm to excite Earth's magnetic field enough to make it visible this far south. So that's kind of the key on this. It really has to be a big storm to enable us to see it this far south. So it's kind of, think of it this way too, Pat. You know, everybody's seen neon lights, right? Well, the way those work is you get particles that are moving on through those tubes, and it excites the electrons and it makes the color. Same thing with the Northern Lights. That's what's happening here. So that's what makes them form. Now, the thing about this is we may have some more chances coming up in the years ahead, and here's why. The sun goes through an 11-year cycle. It's called the solar cycle, where the number of sunspots gets really high and then it gets really low. And we've seen this over time. I'm just showing you a graph from 1986 through the present and to a forecast of next year in 2025 when we expect to reach another solar maximum. So we're on the upswing. We're seeing sunspot activity and solar activity increase, and those are the things that create the Northern Lights, and that's why we think that we'll have more opportunities in the years to come. But the solar indices and everything that we're looking at to see this for tonight, yeah, no, it's just not strong enough. So here's the bottom line. Get a good night's sleep tonight. I wouldn't bother, spending any time hunting the northern lights tonight. And they're more common anyway in the fall and in the spring around the equinoxes, the first of fall, the first of spring. But again, as I mentioned, the aurora chances will increase over the next couple of years because we are headed towards that solar maximum.
All right, so maybe we shouldn't be quite that sad because we've got more chances in the future.
I'm saying there's a chance.
All right, thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.